So here we are, we're at the Spurs training ground. I cannot wait to get in there. I hope they've got some nice coffee for starters. But we're meeting Ange, the manager of Tottenham Hotspur Football Club. Going to get into his head about tactics, the culture, losing Harry Kane, reviving Son. I want it all. I want it all. Let's go. Yeah. Hey. How you doing? Thanks for having us. Appreciate your time. Thank you. Nice to see you. You all right? Ange, thank you very much for coming on Between the Lines. Really appreciate your time. I know you're very, very busy. Before we start, I want to just ask you, have you had media training? Because every single clip I see of you, I'm thinking, I like this man more. I like him more. I think everybody, they normally hate managers or love hate. You're one of the ones that kind of across the board seems to be liked by everyone at the moment.
Yeah, at the moment. It's like when people say, you're doing well so far, it's the so far that you kind of know is the most important bit. Probably the fact that I haven't had media training is, mate, I'm just myself, and I've kind of tried to be that from the start, and whether that's media, because I just feel that, I've said before, when I'm talking, I'm actually talking to the supporters, so I'll just try and be myself, mate, that's it.
No, that's good. Well, listen, let's get into it. I know I read up on you, and 27, you had a serious injury, which meant that you kind of had to walk away from the playing side of things for the game. Did that really force you into wanting to be a coach, or did you have that in the back of your mind anyway?
No, I really feel, even in retrospect now, that my playing career was just a precursor or preparation for me to be a manager. I kind of knew there was a limit to where I could go as a footballer. I was really conscious of that, maybe to my detriment, because in my mind, well, there's a limit, but what I really want to do in the game, I'm going to have to do it in some other capacity. And I always enjoyed the tactical side of the game. I always enjoyed the sort of management side of the game. So even during my playing career, it was taking in as much info about the next step. Came earlier, as you said, but let's just go for it.
I've seen you talk about watching English football as a kid, watching the old Match of the Day, and then obviously management come into your mind quite early. Who was the inspirations when you was growing up as a young person?
Like I said, I was consumed by the game, not just playing the game. I love playing the game. We were out in the streets all the time, probably like your upbringing, but I would read about anything I could, and I was really fascinated with managers and coaches, and so that era, I was a massive Liverpool supporter. But it was about Bill Shankly in the boot room as much as it was about the team. I wanted to read about the background of that, and then, even sort of understanding that, how much of an influence a manager coming in can have on a club beyond just the football in changing culture. Whether that was Sir Alex or Arsene. So those kind of people really influenced and I guess intrigued me, because it wasn't just about producing a great team, because a lot of managers did that. It was the ones who made a real difference.
So walking into a new club, how do you go about changing that culture? Because that's one of the things I always sit and think, how do these guys go in and do that?
Yeah. I think the first thing is just to try and identify what the gaps are, for me to do what I want to do.
Because confidence would have been a big issue here.
Absolutely, yeah. There was confidence. There was a little bit of disengagement between the whole club. Obviously the supporters weren't happy, and the players probably a bit disconnected from what we were trying to do. So the club needed some real sort of solid foundational stuff. And that started with me, is to say, well, look, here's who I am and here's who I'm going to be for as long as I'm here. That's not changing. So the way I work, the way I talk, the way we train, the way we play, all these are part of me.
How did the actual opportunity with Spurs come about?
I had a couple of chats with some key people. I was still manager of Celtic, and I was really hell-bent on winning a treble there, because you don't get those opportunities too many. So I was kind of trying to leave it to one side. But once that was done, it then became pretty clear to me that they were willing to go in a different direction, because who I am is who I'm going to be. I'm not going to change. So if you don't want that right from the outset, don't appoint me, because when I come in, things will change. Everywhere I've gone, I've done things a little bit differently. So if you look at even our training and the staff, I use new staff wherever I go.
Play on, advantage!
So that the main message of who I am is consistent, but the way I've tackled each thing has been totally different all the way along.
So you get in here, you come to a fabulous club, great setup, fantastic resources and facilities, and the moment you walk into the job, your best player, your captain, the top goal scorer at the football club, is edging for a move to pastures new, which is, I find, understandable given what he's given the club. You must have been at that point, surely.
Look, it's bizarrely, it's the bit I love, mate. That the heart of the challenge, that's the stuff that gets me going. And to be fair to Harry, he was great. We had a chat pretty much the first day, and he didn't say he was going to leave, but again, intuitively, you kind of sense, what, if the right opportunity came for him, it was Bayern, that he would go. Now, my thing was then, all right, timing-wise, this is going to be crucial. The last thing we don't want is for it to happen on the eve of the league starting, and that's exactly when it happened. Yeah. I think at that point, probably everyone at the club was looking at me and saying, well, okay, is he going to run around, the sky's falling, Chicken George running around, trying to sort of handle things. But what we did try and do is really sort of insulate the players that, as I said from the start, nothing's going to change. Best players gone, yes, okay, but we're going to play this way, we're going to train this way, we're going to behave this way.
Was Son always the replacement, or was there eyes on other players, or was that Son, this is my guy, I'm going to...
Yeah, I had that sort of vision of it. So, through that process, when you're trying to think of solutions, well, okay, the one thing I knew was impossible to do was replace Harry. There is there's no other Harry Kane. You can give me 200 million, unless you're going to go get Erling, or there aren't many of them around. How are you going to replace a striker you almost guarantee is going to score between 25 and 30? It's impossible. So then your head goes, okay, well, if that isn't a solution, what solutions exist? And look, I've had a long history with Sonny in that, not directly, but I've followed him because, obviously playing for Korea, I was working in Asia, and I've always felt he's had this ability and innate sort of instinct to play in the central area. He's a good finisher, his movement's excellent. And with the leadership as well, I knew it wouldn't weigh heavily on him because of the kind of character he is. So that was my best case scenario. You have contingencies, but it's worked out really well.
I've seen you talk about recruitment of players, and you've got players that you've brought in performing at a really high level at the moment. How important is, yes, the way they play and the footballing ability is huge, but how important is character?
It's everything for me. One wrong character in your dressing room is a lot of problems, mate. Yeah. So I will always forsake, the quality of a player for the right character. But when you're working at this level, and this is just my opinion, I know the fees we pay these days are ridiculous. I don't think there's a lot of difference between the best quality and the next level. It's really small, but the character makes the big jump, So I put a lot of stock in that, and there's plenty of deals, I walked away from where I just didn't get that feeling that this person, not because I didn't like the person, he doesn't want to come for the right reasons. They need to come for the right reasons.
It's interesting that, isn't it? You could have a conversation with someone you're hell-bent on getting, and you have that one conversation and there's something in it that's niggling at you.
Yeah, because walk away. You kind of, because like I said, I try and make it conversational, and you see where the conversation goes, and it's the ones where you just see it in them with everything they say, that nothing is as important as they just want to be the club. When I spoke to Vicario or Van der Veen this year, or even Matters for that case, it was like, I want to play for Tottenham, I want to play. I want to play for you guys. And when you hear that in their voice, well, that's the best starting point for me.
And that leads me to culture. And you're talking about the individuals there in terms of recruiting and stuff. How do you generate and change and cultivate a culture when you come into a new club?
I've got a simple definition for that. Culture is people, right? So it starts with me and my behaviours, what I say, what I do, the way I speak to people. Those kind of things are really important, I think, because again, what I say is not as important as how I behave. And then you try and get the right people. And I've had times where I've walked in and experienced players haven't really bought into it. That's kind of lengthened that process, and I've had to move them out. So it comes back to people. We forget, we kind of, he's a great coach, but if he's not the right kind of bloke for my environment, it's not going to work. Yeah. It doesn't matter.
How do you go about getting the best out of individuals? Is it conversations? As I saw you say, you don't really like to get too close to players, or is it classrooms on the board or on the TV and videos? Or
I still really believe in coaching. Again, I think sometimes we get to this level and they think, well, the good players, they don't need coaching, you just got to manage them. Well, I don't think so. I think even the best players, even when they get older, if you can give them a little bit of information that makes them a better player or makes them feel more comfortable, the good ones take that and they want more, So, and, I think I have said that I don't get close to players. I think people sort of misinterpret that. I don't sit down and have coffees with them, no. But in terms of their football, yes, we provide as much information, not just me. I make sure the coaches do, because our number one responsibility is to maximise their potential, to improve them. So even if you're getting the best player in here, how can I improve you just a little bit? And if that's the context, then it needs two things. One, for us to have an environment where we can do that, and the player to be receptive. And again, part of that process of getting the right kind of players is he coachable? Now, does he want to improve? You know, so that's kind of things, again, you try and get an instinct out of.
I want to go to touch screen.
Go for it, mate.
Take you back to pre-season, actually.
Yeah.
This was like, when I saw this, I was thinking, wow, like, so there's been a big change. If you look at this clip here, I'll just stop it there, and there's Harry Kane.
Yep.
He's the only white shirt in that picture. I don't think I can find another clip this season where that's happening. I remember I saw James Maddison talking about you're 1-0 up here, half time, you end up coming out late because you went bananas at half time, not happy. What would have been said around this?
And I think this is one of the clips we showed was that.
We're doing the right thing then.
Yeah, you are. So if you just pause it there for a second. So what we're doing now is, what we're focusing on is actually none of this, and we're focusing on this. What the score is and what the time is. So now we're not playing our football. We're reacting to something up there, right? So an external. And I'm saying, well, if you're going to react to that, you're never going to be committed to anything, because if you let that guide you, sometimes that's false, yeah? You're losing 1-0 and you know you're battering this team. Or you're winning 1-0 and you're going, we're not. Ignore that. And they started to, so it started with the press. You see how passive we are? That can't be us.
That's what I looked at when I saw this. Everyone's doing that, they're going backwards. Everyone,
correct.
And that's
exactly
not your
right.
team.
Nowhere near it, no. And that led on to us getting possession and going long. And I could see it that they were just going, well, 2 minutes to half time, lads, let's just hold on to that lead, you know.
And this is the difference. This is the second half.
Correct.
Immediately, the body language,
correct.
Everybody's on the front foot.
Correct. And again, now they're ignoring this because we're 2-1 up. So we're not protecting the 2-1. What we're going for is, well, okay, you want to close out this game, go score a third goal. And like I said, you want to ice a game. Well, this is the best way to ice a game. You score 3, not hold on to 2, you know.
I was going to say that to you. So if you don't win this game, is that a tougher kind of mindset change and culture change if you don't win the game in the end, you don't score the goals that justifies what you're saying at half time?
No, it's the opposite, that if you win this game and you don't address it, that's when it gets tougher, because then the players kind of get the sugar hit of a win, but not the way we want to play.
This is Celtic against Real Madrid at the Bernabeu, and I can sense how strong you are of your principles and the way that you play. Even when you're playing against a star-studded team, you're going to go for it and play the way you want to play.
Yeah, absolutely.
You get beat here 5-1, but you're still going for it.
Yeah, no, and that's right. And we paid a heavy price. But again, so this is what I'm saying. This is where the tests come, where, you know, the players are looking at me and saying, well, if you're going to change against Real Madrid, then you don't really believe. So the challenge for Celtic would have been then, can we progress from just, you know, being really aggressive? And we had these moments where we won the ball and we didn't have the quality to finish off and hurt a team like Real Madrid. Can we keep doing it where we can improve that quality in that front third? But, you know, I still think the players got comfort from knowing that, you know what, irrespective of the scoreline, he'll take the flak, I take the flak for the 5-1. But if we keep doing this, that, you know, we'll get the rewards at some point. And
so Spurs aren't changing no matter how confidence is or stage
only because
of
I
the
think
season.
that's the way we'll win, mate.
Yeah,
I'm not trying to create something pretty that, you know, to prove a point. I think this is how we're going to have success. This is my way of disrupting hierarchy. Wherever I've gone, I haven't taken over the top team. I've taken over a team that wants success. Well, I'm not going to have success by trying to stay conservative and do what everyone else is doing.
Well, listen, Ange, thank you so much. That's the last clip. Really fascinating talking to you.
I messed your board up a bit.
No, you were good. You were good. But listen, thank you so much again.
My pleasure.
I'm going to hopefully stick around and watch you guys train.
Yeah, it'd be good, mate.
Right.
Get your raincoat.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks a lot, man.
Thanks, bud.